right, ladies and gentlemen, we have two short videos today. We're going to learn how to graph the reciprocal of tangent, which is cotangent. And so let's just take a quick little review of thinking what tangent is in relationship to a triangle. If this is our x and this is our y, we know that tangent could be either called opposite over adjacent, or in this case y over x. And when I refer to y over x, I'm referring to the values on the unit circle. So then if we have cotangent over here, cotangent is the reciprocal. So if this is x and y, we're not going to have cotangent be y over x. Cotangent is adjacent over opposite, or x over y. And so if we're thinking about the values around the unit circle for tangent, cotangent is all the reciprocal values. And we're going to see how that affects the graph. So let's just talk a little bit about our basic tangent graph, which I will do in pencil. Cotangent will be done in red. We know that our basic tangent graph has a period of pi. And we know that its original asymptotes are negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. And so we would draw those in to show that every pi, I'm going to have in asymptotes. Here's pi over 2 plus pi over 2. That's one period. Here's an asymptote to show another period positive, and here's one negative. And then remember, we said when we were graphing tangent, we had a 0 right smack dab in the middle of those asymptotes. And then we showed our stretch or compression or amplitude halfway between the 0 and the asymptote. Sorry, this is a little off. But if I was halfway here, I would be up here at 1. If I was halfway down here at negative 1. And we graphed in our tangents. Oops, did not mean to miss that. Okay, so we can see our 3 tangent cycles here with an amplitude of 1 and a period of pi. Right. Let's think of what made those zeros. So if I'm at 0, or I'm at pi, or I'm at negative pi on the unit circle, those are the ends of the x and y axis. So we're over here. Here's 0, here's pi or negative pi, and my values there, my xy is 1, 0, and over here my xy is negative 1, 0. And that's why we get zeros at these values. And then up here at pi over 2, or down here at 3 pi over 2, we have our values are 0 and 1, or 0 and negative 1. And that's why we get asymptotes at pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2, because those values have 1 divided by 0 and are undefined. Now, if we go and we think about cotangent, cotangent is x over y. So here at the 0 and the pi's, we're going to have undefined. And up here at pi over 2, this is where we're going to have our zeros. And so what that did was it started our asymptotes at 0. And so it shifted them over. And so every time we have a 0 for our tangent, we're really going to have an asymptote. So here's my cotangent graph, has asymptotes at all the zeros of my original tangent graph. And they're still all pi length apart. But notice it starts at 0. more like sine and cosine, how your cycle starts at 0. Now in the middle of that, where I have an undefined for my tangent, will be a 0 for cotangent. So here's all my zeros, where my former asymptotes were. All right. Now the only thing different we do here is we're going to take the reciprocal of our values that made our tangent graph go up. Because this is a reciprocal, basically once I've got my defined asymptotes, it's the same graph, but it's going in the opposite direction. So we're traveling in this direction. So instead of going right one up one, I'm going to go left one up one, or left halfway in between, just like I did with the tangent, and right halfway in between and down. See how this right here touches my tangent graph at 1? Well, the reciprocal of 1 is 1, right? Over here, this touches my tangent graph at -1. Well, the reciprocal of -1 is -1. And that's how we get those points. All right, so here and here, that's all we can show on this part of our graph over here. And we do the same we did with tangent. We draw them all in how they were looking before. All right, if you need to, pause and take a look at this. We're going to continue on looking just at cotangent, just graphing cotangent, not tangent first, in the next slide that has some transformations.